Missiles over Kuwait, a drone downed over Hormuz, and no breakthrough from Trump's Situation Room talks. As the Iran-US war enters its fourth month, ceasefire diplomacy appears to be stalling, with Tehran still holding some of its strongest leverage cards. Here's a report.
The Iran-US confrontation is once again edging closer to a dangerous tipping point. In a fresh escalation, Iran state broadcaster claims that 5 Americans were injured after debris from an Iranian missile struck a US airbase in Kuwait over the past day. However, the US has neither admitted nor denied the claim. According to a Bloomberg report, Iran launched a Fateh 110 missile. This was in attempt to target the Ali al-Salem airbase. The strike came hours after US military action near Iran's strategic port city of Bandar Abbas. Tehran insists the Kuwaiti base was targeted because it was allegedly linked to earlier American operations against Iranian positions. Reports suggest Kuwaiti air defenses intercepted incoming threats. The strikes came even as President Donald Trump gathered his national security team for a Situation Room meeting on the future of negotiations with Tehran. Yet the meeting produced no public breakthrough. The developments come as Washington appears to be softening its public rhetoric. After weeks of demands, senior US officials have increasingly signaled flexibility on what a final settlement could look like. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said that any deal is a good deal if it helps stop the fighting.
I mean, right now we're focused on being postured and prepared to re-engage if we have to. I mean, this is a high-stakes negotiation. We've got the best negotiator in the world leading it. Iran may not want to give up their nuclear ambitions, but we believe at the table they can and will over time, given the right set of incentives.
The future of the Strait of Hormuz remains at the center of negotiations. While Trump says Iran will have to end its chokehold on the Strait of Hormuz, however, Tehran maintains that strait will be reopened under Tehran's conditions after the US lifts blockade on Iranian ships. Disputes also persist over Iran's nuclear program. Trump insists that US will unearth Iran's nuclear dust and completely destroy it, but Iran denies seeking nuclear weapons. Another major obstacle is the fate of billions of dollars in frozen Iranian assets, which Tehran wants released as part of any broader settlement. 4 months into the conflict, neither side appears close to achieving its core objectives. Despite repeated military operations and sustained pressure campaigns, Trump has struggled to secure a decisive strategic outcome. The result is an increasingly uncomfortable reality for Washington. Military pressure has not produced a breakthrough, diplomacy remains stalled, and the balance of leverage may be shifting. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Nader Hashemi is an associate professor of Middle East and Islamic politics at Georgetown University. He is now joining us live from Washington, D.C. Professor Hashemi, thank you very much for your time and welcome to the broadcast. The change of rhetoric and narrative by the United States is something that is a little bit weird for the globe to understand what is really happening in this war in Iran. Your assessment on the recent developments from the United States and also Iran?
It's completely understandable for observers of this story to be confused because Donald Trump says something at the negotiating table and then he seemingly contradicts those commitments on social media. I think what's happening here is that Donald Trump has come to the realization that he has failed in trying to advance his war objectives against Iran. Recall at the beginning of this war, roughly 3 months ago, Donald Trump was trying to engage in regime change. He assassinated Iran's senior leader and 60 of Iran's top military officials. But the regime has been able to not only survive an attempted regime change plan, but has been able to fight back quite effectively. And the regime now in Iran is very much in control. So the challenge for Donald Trump is, how does he find an off-ramp from this disastrous war that he has failed to win, and try and present this impending deal that's on the table as a victory? He's facing a public relations challenge back at home, where he's effectively been forced to accept the fact that Iran has control over the Strait of Hormuz, is not going to easily give up its nuclear program without major concessions from the United States. So the challenge for Mr. Trump is, how does he present this as a victory when, objectively speaking, this war has been a defeat both for the United States and for Donald Trump as well?
Professor, two things. First of all, I want your reaction to what President Trump said, that he has actually issued a demand that the Gulf states should enter the Abraham Accords when the war ends and normalize relations with Israel. And the other point is the 60-day window given to Iran and the United States. How do you think that is going to play out?
Those are two good questions. So on the first point, Donald Trump's attempt to get Arab states, Gulf states, to sign on to the Abraham Accords with Israel is an attempt to, extract concessions from these Arab states so he can present this war as a victory back home, saying that, look, I might not have been able to have, reached my war objectives against Iran, but at least I was able to advance the Abraham Accords. Now, the likelihood of Arab states signing on to the Abraham Accords with Israel is effectively zero, because for any Arab state to do that effectively means that they would have to jump into bed with Benjamin Netanyahu, who is viewed in the region and around much of the world as a genocidal war criminal, presiding over the devastation of Gaza and now the horrors of Lebanon and a recent war with Iran. That would be political suicide for any Arab leader. Even though Arab leaders might want to join a U.S.-Israeli sort of, Abraham Accord arrangement personally for their own personal ambitions and to preserve their regime, but it would come at a cost of a potential societal revolt. Their publics would not accept that. So it's not going to happen. Professor, but that's why Donald Trump is pushing this. Go ahead.
Professor, sorry to rush you, but I just want, because our time is running out, I just want your reaction on the 60-day plan.
Well, the 60-day plan is simply an opportunity to talk about these longer-term issues related to Iran's nuclear program. Nothing has been agreed upon. This is just a broad framework. The 60-day plan is supposed to first allow for the Strait of Hormuz to be opened. We don't know the terms of the opening, but the 60-day plan is to allow for Iran and the United States time to deal with these thornier issues related to Iran's nuclear program. And it can be extended if both sides agree. So that's the basic arrangement, the broad framework of understanding or memorandum of understanding that's being floated about. We do know that the plan is on Trump's table. He just has to sign off on it. He hasn't done so for the reasons that I mentioned earlier. He's trying to spin this publicly as a win when objectively it's a defeat.
All right. Professor Hashemi, it's good to see you. We'll have to end it here. Thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you.